Welcome to LabCast, a podcast about the medical laboratory science profession, brought to you by MedLab Convo. To get notified once we drop an episode, you can do well to subscribe to all our social media platforms at MedLab Convo. For questions, feedbacks, and shout-outs, you can do well to send a mail to at medlabconvolabcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.
As a medical laboratory science student or professional, why are you in this field? Is it because you love the science, the service, the sense of purpose, or is it maybe because you want a career that pays you what you're worth? Welcome to LabCast. I am your host, Ubani Nmesoma, and in this episode, we're tackling a question that is both personal and professional. The MLS practice, money versus passion, what is the motivation? Or rather, what should be the motivation? On one side, we have the argument that passion fuels innovation, excellence, and resilience in this field. On the other hand, there is also the reality that bills need to be paid. So of course, financial sustainability is important. So I think the that leaves us with the question, is there a balance? Can we actually have both in this field of practice? And to unpack this, we have two top guests joining us. We have Dr. Nosa Osakue, who is an experienced lecturer and MLS, Mujtaba Dododawa, an MLS entrepreneur building a business in the field. Hello, sir. Hello, ma. Welcome to LabCast.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. And thank you. I appreciate the privilege to be part of this podcast.
All right, thank you, ma. Please, would you like to do or maybe give us a brief introduction? What your experience as a lecturer has been, but especially what first drew you into this profession?
Okay, thank you very much for this question. Well, the first attraction to this profession was the fact that, or rather, I'll say that I was introduced to it by somebody who was a medical laboratory science student at that time. And so while I was awaiting admission, I'd finished secondary school and I was working in a business center. And then he came to where I was working and I was doing some typesetting jobs for him. And then we got talking, and then I discovered that he was a med lab student. And that was the first time I was hearing about the course. So I asked him what the course or the profession was about, and he told me. And right there and there, my interest to go into this profession was triggered. Now, what triggered me primarily was the fact that I could pick a sample of somebody and then I'll get information, wide coverage of information about the health status of that individual. And I told myself, this is the place to be. And so that was the first point of attraction to the profession. And then since I started the program, I loved it from day one. I loved what I did from day one. And then getting to know that it's actually more of a practical course than theory. You do little of theory and do more of practical. And me, I like things that I like hands-on things that you can lay your hands on, and then as you are doing them, you are seeing results. I enjoy doing things like that. So that made me to balance properly in this profession. And since I've entered, I've never had a regret. And then come to the area of academics. Another thing too is I know that by the grace of God, there's a gift in me to impart knowledge. And so academics gave me the opportunity to impart knowledge. And I'm most joyful because I know that I'm imparting knowledge, not just imparting knowledge, but I'm imparting knowledge to the next generation. And I know that if I have a whole lot of colleagues like me all over the globe, then there's hope for the next generation of medical laboratory scientists. Thank you.
Thank you, ma. So for you, it was passion from the start. MLS Dododawa, what was your origin story like? Was it when you first started? What did you think MLS would be like, and how close was that to reality?
All right. My story is kind of like, finding the right guidance just at the right time. So I think that would have been back in 2011. I had just finished my, secondary education, and then I knew what I wanted to do. I knew like how I had envisioned my future, but I was not exactly sure what the course in the university is supposed to be. So then I was toying around with the idea of pharmacy and biochemistry until I had enrolled for the university tertiary unified tertiary matriculation examination, where I just felt like I was yet to get where I was supposed to get. So in 2013, I was in Canada here, and I happened to attend one of these career guidance talk for students that are about to write jam. So after the whole session, I went to meet one of the speakers, and I told him the problem I was having. And he said, he was like, what do you want to be? I want a profession where, it's respectable, you have dignity, you make real societal impacts, you help improve life, and then get a little money at the end of the day. And he was like, what do you have in mind? I was like, biochemistry. So he told me that, no, everything you've described, what suits you is medical laboratory science. And that was the first time I actually heard about it in 2013. And so I went home, did a little research about medical laboratory science, and I was like, exactly, this is what I've been looking for. So next year, 2014, I took my jump, and that was the beginning of a very beautiful journey.
Thank you for that. But in your years of practicing medical laboratory science, have you had any moments of regret, moments where you feel like maybe you should have chosen a more financially rewarding career, or any thoughts like that?
Well, in as far as I'm concerned, I have looked at the country that we are currently, I've looked at it, I've analyzed it, and in as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any job that pays better than laboratory science currently. So when I was in school, then I used to feel like this stuff it's too difficult and stuff. But honestly, ever since I graduated 2019 till today, I have no regrets whatsoever. In fact, I feel like every stage in my career, I discover something that is even more beautiful that makes me be like, thank God I choose this path.
All right. I'm glad to hear that answer, because one thing that we've kept emphasizing through LabCast over the years is that medical laboratory science is a very broad profession. It's one that you can explore. There are many opportunities for you to explore and make money, um find a footing, or whatever purpose a person has, they can find it in medical laboratory science. But although passion is a good thing, and passion is necessary for one to sustain his or herself in a field, is it really enough in the medical laboratory science field, given the realities of the profession in Nigeria and even globally? Dr. Nosaf, I would like to get your opinion on that.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a very interesting question. In as much as I want to agree absolutely that passion is the foundation, because you cannot be a successful medical laboratory practitioner without passion. So passion is the foundation. However, for your passion to keep advancing, to keep growing, you must, the other aspect of it must come into play. For example, passion without financial support will result in a disaster, because at the end of the day, you'll be disappointed. At the end of the day, it will look like your passion is being wasted. So you cannot say that passion is enough. Passion is the foundation. And then where every other requirement is available and successfully met, your passion keeps growing. You don't get demoralized because every other area is being satisfied. But the truth is, you cannot successfully and effectively practice medical laboratory science profession without passion. So I'll say again, passion is the foundation upon which all other areas are built. And then when the other support, for example, financial support, like we said, when the finances and the remunerations are encouraging, it fuels up your passion, it fires your passion to keep doing more. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. As I'll be directing this to MLS Dododawa as somebody that is into entrepreneurship. How much do you think money matters when it comes to the considering medical laboratory science as a career path? How much importance should people give to the financial aspects of it?
All right. So the truth of the matter is, I don't think finance and passion, they are things that you can separate. You can't take away one from the other. As professionals, there are things that go hand in hand. For example, if you want to look at the finances and you don't want to talk about the passion, if you say you're here strictly for the finances, then at the end of the day, you start to kind of, exploit people and even colleagues. And then when you say you're there for the passion, then it's like you are making societal impact without really improving or developing yourself. So these are things that go hand in hand. I remember, like, if you do a survey of BMLS students, say from like 400 level down, about 75% of them will tell you that they are in it for the passion, just the passion, just the passion, just the passion. Well, after graduation, and then you do your internship, you do your 1 year mandatory service, and then you start, the life post graduation. That's when you see that, passion alone does not take you for a long ride. You need that finance to be able to make things happen. And as far as the question goes, that which one should you give preference to, I think the right answer to that is neither, because passion buffers the need to make money, and the need to make money helps strengthen the passion that you have.
That's an interesting perspective. I think we have been able to establish that passion and money are both important considerations. But I would like to know, in your personal lives, how do you balance passion for this profession? How do you balance passion for the profession with financial needs?
But the truth is, it is the personal needs will always come up, and most times they want to override the passion. But the truth is, your passion is sustained when you fix your gaze on the goal. What is the goal for me? The goal for me is service to humanity. I put to humanity above every other personal gain. So, for balancing passion with personal need, is there are times true where personal needs are overwhelming and seem to be overriding the passion. Those times they come. But when I keep my focus on the goal, and like I said, I told you from the beginning, the goal is for me service to humanity. And so when I set my focus or my gaze on the goal, no matter the pressure that is coming from personal need, I'm able to overcome it. But let me tell you something. If For me, what has always worked for me is once it is in my heart to achieve it, I don't know how, but I'm sure I can tell you for sure that it just happens. Whatever it is that is a need for me to keep my passion going has always come on its own without me doing extra or doing the out of the usual or out of the norm to achieve it. Now, personal needs will always be there, but the truth is that if you keep following the path of truth, the path of sincerity, and not shortchanging people, the needs are always met. That's what I would say. So I don't think there has been a challenge. Personal needs will always be there. There will be one time or the other where you want to fuel your passion, but what you need at hand in terms of finances to fuel that passion is not there. But you just keep going, you are not discouraged, your focus, your gaze is on the goal. And when I keep focusing on the goal, it keeps me going. Like, I'll give a practical example. I teach, and where I live is far from where I teach. Sometimes I do as much as drive for 2 hours to get to where I work. I'm talking about the distance from where I live to the institution where I work. Sometimes or most times, I like to drive down. And if I want to calculate the amount I will spend for every day I go to school and come back on my fuel, if I want to put that into, I want to compare that with the salary I'm getting from the teaching, then at the end of the day, I go home with nothing because I'll spend all my earnings on fuel. So what I do that helps me not to hold me back from fulfilling my goal, or from hold me back or water down my passion, what I simply do is remove my focus from that. I consciously don't want to calculate the amount or what I spend or the effort I put in to achieve my passion or to achieve my goal. What I just focus on and what keeps me going is, am I fulfilling purpose? Am I getting closer to that goal that I've set for myself? If I'm getting closer to that goal, I remove my gaze from whatever it is that I'm spending or whatever sacrifice I am making. I try not to focus on it, on whatever extra sacrifices I'm making to ensure that I fulfill that goal. My focus at the end of the day is still to maintain passion with everything that is available, every resources that is available to me, and I use it, and I know it has helped me, and I'm satisfied with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. From that practical example you've given, I think we've been able to establish that financial pressures affect the performance and job satisfaction in the medical laboratory science space. But then again, how well does this profession reward its practitioners compared to the value that we bring to healthcare?
Well, if you want to put it on a scale and you want to try to balance it to see whether whatever benefit you are getting from it, if it will actually, particularly in this country where we have found ourselves, if you want to put it on a balanced scale between what you are giving in, or what you are, the effort you are putting in, and then what the benefit you are getting out of it, there's a total imbalance. In fact, a complete imbalance. There's a complete imbalance. And you can understand why the motivation for many people keeps dropping by the day. The remuneration is not very good. The support and access to grants, the support and access to grants is very, very limited. And then there's no motivation, so to speak, to keep going. If you want to really look at what is happening around, you can't compare the effort you are putting in. You want to try to compare it to whatever it is that you are getting out of it. It's incomparable. That's why many people that's why you see the massive wave of exodus from here to other nations where the remuneration is better, or where people think that, okay, I'm better accepted, I'm better rewarded, and the remuneration is better in those other places. So you can't compare what you are putting in to what you are getting out. But the truth is, one thing that will always keep you going is focus on what brought you in at the beginning, and somehow you just keep pushing and keep going. And I know one thing is sure, I know that all these challenges that colleagues are experiencing at one time or the other, one way or the other, I still believe that it is short-lived. In the very near future, things will definitely turn around. That's just my drive and that's my motivation. Thank you.
Right. Please let me add to the last two questions that you asked. The truth of the matter is, you just have to, how they see there is a light at the end of every tunnel. So you just have to take your mind off the darkness of through the tunnel and concentrate on the light that is at the end of that tunnel. You see, like I, for example, it's my dream to be in a position in medical laboratory science where decisions and policies are being enforced, because I've been working in the diagnostic sector for a while. I've seen so many things. In fact, I have a place where I keep my notes. Okay, when I get to this position, these are the things that I want to achieve. When I get to this position, these are the things that I want to achieve. So I've been keeping that note, and then I soon realized that to get to that place. Okay, let me give you a STEM goal, for example. Like, I wanted to be working in even the best, or at least one of the best, healthcare centers in the zone that I live. Currently, I'm working with Kano Medical Center. It's one of the best healthcare centers in northwest Nigeria, because I reside in Kano. But back then, I understood that to achieve this place, to get to this point, I needed to undergo capacity building and professional development. And these are not things that come easy. So at that point in time, the passion was, to have a robust resume that I can present anywhere and I will be a competitive candidate. Then I knew that I needed, finances. So the passion then was, go and look for money, and then come and build this stuff so that tomorrow in the future you get to where you want to go. So that's for the first one. And then as for the second one, if you are asking if the compensation is up to, if it balances with the impact. See, my dear, the truth of the matter is that there is no compensation that balances with impact. If you are being paid 99 naira, you always feel like you're worth 100. And if you are being paid 999, you always feel like you're worth 1,000. So at the end of the day is what I do is at the beginning of every year, I set a target for myself of this is what I want my net worth to be at the end of this quarter. So in a year, I can have like 4 financial targets, per quarter, sometimes three, sometimes two, depending on how I have calculated the year. And then what I try to do is to look for places that, they will be able to offer me that, as well as, other that engagements and collaborations that I can engage in that will offer me those that. Because how do you measure if your compensation is up to the impact? It starts from you. You have to see this is what I'm worth, this is the target that I want to reach, and then you start working towards achieving that target and ensuring that you are not being underpaid or not paid. Thank you.
That's a very practical suggestion. So I would want to ask you as a follow-up, you are gearing more towards entrepreneurship, if I'm not mistaken. What like motivated this shift?
Actually, that's a good question. I think I ventured into, or let me not say ventured. Let me use the word. I'm still venturing into entrepreneurship. So, like I said, I've been working, in the healthcare space for a while, and then I noticed there are three major deficiencies, especially within the private sector. Number one is the diagnosis, number two is the accessibility, and number three is, the quality. You understand? So when I saw this, I looked at this, I did some analysis and I noticed that don't forget that some people will tell you an entrepreneur is a gap bridger. So when I identified these three gaps, I felt, the easiest way is to, try to tackle the issue of quality. When you tackle the issue of quality in such a way that you have labs or diagnostic centers that don't understand that for every batch of reagents or strip that you buy, you are supposed to run quality control. And most people, especially in the private sector, what they do is they go to the market, they look for the cheapest reagents and strips to buy because they want to yield the highest profit. So what I'm trying to do is, create an avenue where you find good and qualitative strip for not so much a high price, so that at the end of the day you'll be able to, turn in your profits while also giving out quality. So you see, when I try to fix the issue of quality, I'm indirectly fixing the issue of diagnosis. And when prices are not so steep in such a way that virtually almost everybody can afford it, so that brings in the issue of accessibility. Because sometimes what drives people away, it's not just the unwillingness, it's, the financial aspect. You get. So if maybe you are doing, let's say, you are doing retroviral screening for say 5,000, and then I can bring you a kit that has the same sensitivity, specificity, or even more better sensitivity and specificity for the kit that you're using with, IVD validation and everything, and then I give it to you at a price where you can, when at 4,000 you'll be making more profits than you were making at when you were doing it for 5,000. You see, so that it's kind of like a one solution that, cuts across, the three gaps that I have mentioned. And working in this space, you witness firsthand exactly what's going on, and you are able to identify those gaps first. And if you have the mind that can analyze and think, then you are in the best position to know what intervention is going to solve this problem. So that is how I, started venturing into entrepreneurship.
Wow, it's impressive to know that even your entrepreneurship journey is born out of passion. I want to ask, now that we've talked about the two sides of the coin, passion and money, how can students find a balance? Or not just students, even young professionals. Dr. Nosa, as somebody that has trained a lot of medical laboratory science students, what can you say about, finding a balance between money and passion in this field?
Okay, thank you very much. My advice for the young ones, upcoming ones, is in as much as you want to balance finances with a passion for the profession, the first thing to do is to build yourself. So it's not about how much money you can take out at this stage, but the first thing first While you are driving your passion, develop yourself. In school, if for those that are still students, apply yourself to knowledge. Do the extra. Go for more knowledge. Apart from the knowledge that is being transferred to you in school, while you're in school or while you are maybe doing internship or at the early stage of your practice, go for personal knowledge. Attend workshops, attend conferences, join research teams, do small researches. Just like Dododawa said, build your CV now. This is the time you have, because it will get to a stage where you don't have the energy to do that anymore. All you want to know at that stage is how to make money and make money. But the truth is, it is money that brings money. So you must spend money to earn money. And it's better to spend it at the early time of your practice than the future, because later other things will come up. Family will begin to come in. You begin to add, you have a spouse, you begin to raise children. Your focus is now changed from building up yourself to building the little ones that God is giving you. So this is the time that you have now. The time is now. Build yourself, build capacity. It is what you are able to build now that will determine how well you will stand in future. This is your foundational stage. Build your foundation very well. Ensure that you fortify the pillars, fortify the gates, so that when it's time for you to now focus on finances, you have all it takes. When you be speaking, you'll be an authority. At that point, at that stage, you are not the one running after money. Money will begin to run after you because you have spent your time, you have sown seeds. So this is the sowing period. This is the period where you do more work. When you finish sowing, for a farmer, the time where the farmer works more and works harder is the time to sow. Even though there is work in harvest time, it is working with pleasure. When it's harvest time, you are working and you are seeing the product of the work you did in the past. So you don't consider that work as anything significant because you are seeing the harvest. And the more harvest you have, the more money for you. So my advice basically is, in this early time, at this early stage, build the right foundation, make the right network, make the right links, connect yourself to the right links, to the right team, to the right community where you build yourself. Don't be part of those who are in a hurry to make money, let me just make money and open a lab. You will open an empty room loaded with equipment but no knowledge. So the bottom line is, at this point, every finance that is coming your way, put them back into developing yourself, because in the very near future, monies will be the one. I didn't say money, I said monies from all corners will be running after you. Thank you.
MLS Dododawa, please, do you have anything to add to that beautiful response?
Thank you. Okay, I think the little I have to add to that is, um, you know, I understand how difficult it can be, especially in this modern day MLS curricula, and now with the implementation of the MLS this soon. I know how difficult it's going to be, trying to find a balance between, making money and getting your, what do you call it, getting your minimum requirement to graduate. But here's the formula that I used to give to some of my younger colleagues. The key to success is to always see the task that is in front of you. Like for example, when I was in level 5, I used to have level 1, level 2 students, come up to me and tell me that what is being level 5 like. And when I was intern, I'll have those in level 2, level 4, what is internship like. So the same thing, like the thing I used to tell all of them is, see what is in front of you. if you are in level 2, your aim should be how do I navigate successfully to finish level 2. So also when you are in class, your aim at that time should be, understanding the lectures, and when it's time for you to give it during examinations, you are able to give it. Now, I'm not saying that when you are in school, just be 100% on your book. Don't have time for extracurricular activities. No. One thing I noticed among some students is you notice that students that are not very lucky, whether they are engaging in politics or they are engaging in say entrepreneurship, whatever it may be, when the higher gates, the more hindrances they are required. Because your medical lab, as you go for that, it gets a little bit more difficult. So what I used to do then is schedule of activities. I don't know how BMLS is in schools, but I graduated from my university, Kano, and from my level 3, I think my lecture then were basically 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Practicals and postings included, almost about 4 days a week or so. So what I used to do is, wake up in the morning, do your routine, 8:30 you are in class, stay till you finish your lectures by 6. Okay. From 6, 7, you catch up with friends, you have a little bit of discussion. From 8 till 10, 11, that is when I go out, to engage in my extracurricular activity. And then what I used to do then, to put money in my pocket, pocket money then was, then I used to collect lecture notes, make it available, or sometimes, make explanation that you type and print for, colleagues to catch on. So from 8 to 10, 11, that's when I do that. Then from 11 till 1, you go back, do a little bit of revision of what was done. I know students, you always move around with reading click and stuff. So that's when I would meet my reading click, do a little bit of revision of that. And then 1, 2, you go to bed. Next day, 6, 7, you are up. Now, this was the routine. Now, it gets a little bit difficult. It starts to get difficult. Like, how can I do this every day? But like I said earlier before, that is the darkness of the tunnel. Then I will just go into the teaching hospital, look at our colleagues that are doing internship, look at the phones they are using, the way they dress, and I'll smile myself and I'll be like, it's worth it. So the advice is, schedule your time, schedule your activities, and then always have that place that you can fall back to, that when you feel like you are tired, that serves as motivation and as an inspiration for you to continue whatever you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, sir. Just to add to the conversation, there is a book I read recently. It's called The Diary of a CEO. It's written by Steven Bartlett. And in one of the chapters, he talks about 5 buckets that determine professional success. One is knowledge, what you know. The second thing is skills, what you can do. Third bucket is network, who you know. Then fourth is resources, what you have. And the last bucket is reputation, what people think about you. So he argues that you have to fill this bucket from the first one to the last one. If you want to skip any of these buckets, let's bring it to the conversation. If a person decides to chase money primarily in this medical laboratory science profession, they might be missing important steps. And like Dr. Nosa said in her earlier responses, without solid knowledge and skills, we might not even find the money that we're looking for. Like she said, you might open an empty lab without the necessary skill to make it work. But if on the other hand we give passion, we make passion a top priority and we prioritize learning, like MLS Dododawa has also highlighted, that would mean that we are filling our buckets rightly. we're slowly coming to the end of the conversation, and I don't think we've explored how institutions can better support medical laboratory science professionals to sustain both passion and livelihood. Dr. Nosa, please.
Okay, I said earlier that passion can easily be driven when the required resources are available. So institutions, by making available grants, research grants, travel grants, study grants, bursary programs, sponsorships of all kinds, whether grants for facilities, For example, we in the academics, we tend to teach more of theoretical aspects, and then you push the students to the laboratory and say, go and learn the practical aspects. And then sometimes they're subjected to practicals, but given the number of students that are being admitted in our public institutions, particularly these days, the facilities in the laboratories for practicals are not enough to demonstrate the theoretical part that you're trying to teach them to the students. Also, when they go out to the hospitals or laboratories for practicals, the facilities also are not enough to demonstrate. For example, the facilities in the school's laboratory, when they were built, most of them were built to accommodate a maximum of 50 students. But today, what do you find? In a level in our institutions, particularly public institutions, you find students in a level 150, 200, 250. Some institutions, a level you find 400 students that are being taught with facilities that were originally built to take care of 50 students. So with that, you see it's very demoralizing for the students. The morale to keep going for lectures, the morale to keep going for practical classes, the morale to keep going for laboratory postings are dying gradually because these students don't have access. The kind of access we had when we were coming up as students, they don't have that access anymore. So institutions can build research laboratories in our schools, expand the capacity of the research laboratories in our schools, and then also in our hospitals. There should be expansions in our hospitals, employ more people in the hospitals to teach students in as much as they're also working on patient samples. And also students can have the opportunity of going on sponsored field trips. We can do exchange program. These things are no longer there. They used to be there. Our four parents that studied medlab in the early days told us how they enjoyed exchange programs. You can go from one institution to another. The students in that other institution come to your own institution, and then they are taught in a different way, different people, different setting for a short period of time. These exchange programs can also help students to do better and to see that indeed there is a future in the profession. You can do, there's nothing stops us from sending our students from Nigeria to Ghana, to Kenya, to South Africa, to go and do exchange program, while the students in South Africa come to Nigeria to do exchange program. These things will motivate the students. They look forward to getting into school. They look forward to going for those exchange programs because of the new knowledge that they are set to gain. So I think the government and institutions should motivate students by including grants, travel grants, research grants, grants for expansion of already existing facilities to make learning enjoyable for the students, not what we have now. Students are enduring the learning conditions. So then also we can introduce bursary programs. Before, students enjoy bursaries from their governments, federal government, state government, local government. Now, when the student has no financial burden to bother his or herself about, he knows that when he gets back to his hostel after school, there's money to get food. Food is not a problem for him. Money to get data, money to get airtime is not a problem for him. He will not consider leaving academic and leaving school to go and hustle outside. But when these things are reintroduced back into academic settings, it gives a future, it gives a hope and a future to the profession. It makes the students who are benefiting from these introductions, from these things that are supposed that should be reintroduced. It makes the students to be relaxed and to be assured that they are actually in the right place. It fuels their passion to keep on, or to continue to view or to see their set goals and to keep on pursuing it until they achieve their goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. It's important. The response you gave is very important because we cannot be speaking about passion and motivation as a professional without talking about the systemic issues that influence these factors. But in the absence of these provisions, maybe where the government is not forthcoming, there might be need for an individualistic approach, right? There might be need for individuals to step in and make certain provisions for themselves. So MLS Dododawa, I would like you to just briefly talk into, what opportunities there are for medical laboratories science professional students, even beyond the bench.
Okay, let me start by saying that that question has no finite answer because honestly, the the opportunities there, they are, how do I say it? They keep they keep evolving, and generating spontaneously by the day. I think in 2022 we had in a scientific conference that was themed New Frontiers in Medical Laboratory Science Profession. And then they listed a whole lot of things. Basically, now most people will tell you that I want to be an hematologist, I want to be a clinical chemist, I want to be a medical microbiologist. Some will say, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. Now take entrepreneurship. What do you want to do? I want to be a kit manufacturer. We have people that go doing that. Currently, I have some colleagues that they are into producing blood bags, some laboratory stain like James stain and field stain, and some also into producing antisera. Some are just basically, okay, my entrepreneurs are to be supplying hospital equipment. Some will be like, I want to do reagents. Some will be like, it's so even entrepreneurship alone is that many facets. And some will be like, okay, I want to be a representative of your company. There are companies in um, China, Germany, that want representatives in Nigeria. So all you do is, you help them you help them represent their brand here, and you go to hospitals, diagnostic center and stuff. Recently I spoke about IVD specialists because there are these companies that are coming up that are making, they are developing kits, and then they are trying to use business developers to market their kits. But as far as it's something that has to do with vitro diagnostics, there's nobody that have the grassroots knowledge when it comes to principles, procedures, mechanism of action, and stuff like medical laboratory science. So I talked about IVD specialization in one of my career talks just I think 2 weeks ago. Then that also brings me to, you heard me say business developers. So now you can even specialize as, a healthcare business developer for diagnostic and healthcare centers that want to, come up, can help them, give them templates that they will follow so that they won't fold up, they'll be successful. And then we also have consultants, healthcare consultants. That's the kind of consultation you do when you are sick, kind of consultation you do when you are trying to, get even basics of what do you require to, set up a laboratory or a diagnostic center. That's a service that I myself I render most of the time, and you'll be surprised at what people are willing to pay. Then we also have, we can have designers of safety manuals, designers of standard operating systems, designers of quality manners. Let me not even go into quality management system and the whole frontiers of opportunities that are there. Get so the bottom line is you cannot give an infinite number of opportunities in as far as medical laboratory science profession is concerned. You heard me, I didn't talk anything about academia, lecturing, research, stuff like that. I've not talked about NGO. I'm just, trying to give a wide and broad overview. But the basic line is before you choose what you feel like this is the path that you want to walk on. I always used to say that there is nothing that kills passion faster than misery. When you are miserable, you lose your passion. So always make sure that the frontier or the niche that you decide to choose is something that tallies with your personality, something that you enjoy, something that excites you. In fact, I know of a colleague that he loves designing. He just loves design and not graphic design or something. No, professional CVs, and that's what he does currently. He just look for people that are starting or trying to change career, and helps them to make professional CVs. There are those that are working with hospital management system. I have a colleague that told me that he discovered that as people, especially those in rural areas, they have difficulties in trying to locate healthcare facilities that they can go to when they have some special tests that have been requested for them. And then there are also these things that you can serve as, if you can work with HMOs, you can serve as a diagnostic center liaison. You understand, where you have the list of every laboratory in your vicinity, the array and battery of tests that they do, and then you can serve as a liaison between them and the public, between them and other laboratories that they do this sample referral stuff. You are like a bridge between them. So honestly, the opportunities, there are plenty, they are infinite. So you just discover, it depends on where you find yourself, what opportunities are there for you at that time to leverage on. And again, always remember that whenever you are choosing your career or your frontier, it should be something that excites you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's a very detailed and insightful answer. And so far, I think we've had a great conversation, and this conversation hits deep, given the economic realities of the country. But from everything we've discussed, finding a balance between passion and financial gains is the key to building a career that would last and make an impact, especially in our field. So, to our listeners, we want to also hear from you. What drives you in your medical laboratory science journey? Is it the love for the work, the financial rewards, or a mix of both? We're open to receiving your emails at medlabconvo@gmail.com, or you can connect with us on social media at medlabconvo. And of course, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to LabCast so that you never miss an episode. Till next time, bye.